Hello, crazy lovelies. How you guys doing? I know it's been a minute since I did a video up here. There's a lot that's been going on. I am working from home and doing online schooling with my son. So after I do all that, by the end of the day, I just crash because I'm so exhausted. And so I just want to first touch bases on what's going on with me first, and then I'm going to get into the topic of what we're going to be talking about tonight. Um, so I have finished my schooling. I will have my bachelor's degree for English language and literature. I am so excited. I have completed my 4 years of schooling and I'm just ecstatic. And I'm so glad it's over. It's been a challenging um, event for me, but I am proud of what I have accomplished and I'm just so grateful for God and my family supporting me and friends supporting me throughout of it all. If it wasn't for God and my family and my friends, I don't know how I would have made it through these 4 years struggling with my exams and my studies. But I'm finally here at the finish line, and I'm just waiting on them to mail me my degree, and so I can start pursuing what I really love to do. My passion is for writing and book editing and all that good stuff. So, and as I said, I am working from home. Um, that's been an ordeal of its own trying to get the internet server working and the office equipment here. It's just been a tiring event. And I just recently started doing some hip hop aerobics exercise to keep my body fit and active. I figured I needed to do something because I told I told my boyfriend and I that if we trying to wait till the gym opens to get fit, we're gonna be waiting for a long time, and then we just gonna be just gaining weight together. So I said let's start from home, and basically it's really for me to build up energy. I never have any energy, and I have gone accustomed to being lazy and being a couch potato, and it's not very healthy and it doesn't look very good on my part. So I want to keep my body active and fit. And plus, it gives you new moves to do when we do that. You go out or party. I can use those hip hop aerobics moves on the dance floor. So that's a plus. Plus, I really I want my thighs and my lower back region to be firm. And I think I'm gonna get me some dumbbells later on to strengthen my upper arm muscles. There's a lot I want to do while we're in this quarantine. I want to learn how to box. Um, so yeah, so I'm trying to go ahead and get stuff ready since I'm going to be stuck in the house and do it at the house because um, ain't no telling how long this thing is gonna last. And with an event, if something happens, I need to be able to be on my game and physically fitting up the part. So that's why I'm doing it at the house here. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, this is a topic about depression, how to deal with depression. And I wanted to touch on this topic for a number of reasons. First and foremost, no, I am not depressed. But I have dealt with depression before in the past. So this is a bit of a personal discussion for me, as well as a factual one and a spiritual one. Now, keep in mind that I am not a therapist. I don't tend to be. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to state any medical facts or anything like that or give you antidotes of what you need to do to get over depression because I'm not certified to state that in that field. What I am going to do is, however, is just give you my spiel of how I dealt with my own depression, and I want to touch on something of the spiritual nature about depression because the Bible touches on depression. A lot of people don't think that it does because you don't see the word depression in the Bible, but there's other words that justify that it does deal with depression. And one of the biblical characters that I want to focus on that have done with depression mostly is King David. Now, he's not one of the major ones that dealt with depression on a 10th level. There's other biblical characters, but I just happen to like King David. He's one of my favorite biblical characters, only because he seems more relatable to the people of today's society, just more relatable to the things that happened to him in his life and things that he done. Not saying not the other characters aren't relatable as well, but he just seemed to stick out more for me. So I'm going to be focusing on that as well. And also, I know you like, what's with the schools and the display and all this stuff? I have a flair for the dramatic, okay? And so, also near the end of this video or near the middle of the video, I am going to be reading two of my poems. One poem is going to be dealing with when I was going through depression and what was happening to me during that time frame. Another poem is me getting out of slowly coming out of it. These are poems I wrote years ago. They are old, but they're very dear to me and they sit close to my heart. So that's why I want to share them with you in this video today as well. Okay. Also, on another note, I wanted to share this video because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the YouTube channel star Steve Cash. He did the talking Sylvester Cat videos. They were very funny. And I don't know if you're familiar with him. If you're not, I am going to post a link to his YouTube channel. You can watch his videos, see if you like them. They're really, really funny. And they're really, really good and creative. And I happen to like them a lot. I don't know him personally, but I was a fan of his YouTube channel and his page. And I had heard about a few weeks ago that his wife stated that he took his own life on April the 16th, 2020, and he was only 40 years old. But in the past, he stated that he was struggling with depression. He was bipolar. So he had been struggling with mental issues for a long time. And I'm not going to get too in depth on how he passed away. If you look him up, I'm pretty sure it will tell you. But when I had heard about that, it kind of struck a chord to me to have this discussion. I was supposed to been have this video posted, but with so much going on, me working from home, I haven't had time. So now that I have a little bit of time, I'm taking that into that and doing it now. But I was like, oh man, and with this epidemic that's going on, people in quarantine, I want to touch bases on depression. A lot of people still think depression is taboo, even in today's time, especially with the African American society. Because we're such a resilient race, we're told that, take it to the Lord or girl's gonna be all right. Actually, and if I can, I hope I can put that other link too as well in my video. There is a 45-minute documentary video called Sis, Are You Okay? That I watched with I think 4 or 5 African American females up there. And they like they talk about their depression and the things that they went through to get over it, and how they was on the brink of their depression, of almost taking their own life, and how they was able to get pulled out of it. And I love that video because you see sisters come together talking about their problems, and most of their stories are similar, some are different, but all the outcome was the same. And it shows that, we as African Americans and as sisters, should come together more and talk about, our mental issues. I'm not saying we can't take it to God, but sometimes you need more than just prayer and stuff like that. That's why God put counselors and therapists and resources and people that He blessed with those skills on this earth to help you cope through it. And I think because we're such a resilient race and we're told that we're strong, we survived slavery and all this stuff, that we're not supposed to have depression, even deal with depression. And that is so false, because we do deal with depression, maybe even more so than anybody on the planet, because of the stuff that we have to go through just to be black, and living in America. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, and like I said, I wanted to touch base on this because, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling. I still have a hard time being in front of the camera, and so I'm trying to get used to being back on the camera again. So if I'm rambling, please forgive me. Um, this quarantine thing I've heard has escalated a lot of domestic violence on spouses and partners because they can't physically leave the house, and that's very sad. I also heard some um, stories that people are committing suicide, taking their own lives because most everybody don't have families or healthy families or homes with people in it where they could quarantine with. Most of the time, there's people really just dealing with themselves. And that's the whole issue of it all. Before the quarantine, we had a lot of distractions to pull us away from our problems. And now that we're on this lockdown, stay at home order, we're forced to deal with ourselves, and that's where our own demons comes out. And sometimes people don't even realize that they are depressed until they are faced, with their problems, because all the other stuff was just an escape route. And this quarantine is really, making you really deal with yourself. And it's hard for some people to do that. And I think that's why they pushing this reopen NC movement so much, because they're stuck in the house. I mean, not on a financial level, but just on an emotional level as well. That they don't want to really deal with themselves, and deal with what's going on in their own mind. And when you had places to go and things to do, you could escape that. You didn't have to deal with that at all. So this is making you deal with it. So I'm going to touch bases on that as well. If you hear noise in the background, please forgive me. It is my boyfriend, and he's playing his game, and he's super loud on the mic. So I hope that my voice can override his. I hope I don't have to shout in the video. So if you hear the background noise, that's what that's coming from. And when he played his game, he's just on some other level. But anyway, let's get to the topic. Um, First and foremost, I want to state that I hope everybody's being healthy and well, and mentally, aware, what's going on with during this quarantine. And I hope that you guys are doing okay with you and your families. If you have family members that are struggling with the disease, I hope they uh, come out of it healthy and well. And I will say a prayer for those families who can't be close to their family members because of the disease, and they have to be away from them, knowing that they're going through this ordeal in the hospital somewhere by themselves. So I know it's just been a tiring time, guys. But I also always say, God has a plan for everything. God is in control of all this, despite who's leading the country right now. God is in control of all this. Now, whether you're a believer of God or not, um, that's your own opinion. I'm not here to push or oppose religion on anybody. It's just what I believe and what I talk about wholeheartedly, mostly on my channel as well. If you subscribe to my channel, you see that I have various videos about my spirituality and my walk with the Most High. So, and that's why I want to talk about. That's why this is part of this discussion as well. So let's first and foremost just talk about the biblical standpoint. As I said, I'm going to be talking about King David. He's one of my favorite characters. And as I stated before, the Bible deals with depression. It even talks about depression. It just doesn't say that's what it is. It uses other words. And I have note cards, guys. So I won't be too much off track. So bear with me here. I can ramble. And I try not to make this video long, but I know it's already past 15 minutes, so it's going to be a long video. Okay. So, how God help us deal with depression and anxiety. The Bible doesn't display the word depression in the scriptures. However, there are other phrases that fix it, such as downcast, brokenhearted, troubled, despairing, and mourning. So, those are the words that it will use that relates to depression. And as I said, King David is one of my favorite characters. Now, a lot of people would say King David was after God's own heart, and he was. he was very faithfully devoted, but he had a lot of issues, a lot of flaws about him being king. And not only was he a king, he was a warrior. He was a poet. He was, I mean, he sang songs. He played the instrument. I mean, he displayed all of himself in all aspects all through the Bible. And you can see that, especially in Psalms, the poems that he wrote, the prayers that he stated to the Most High, the praises that he stated to the Most High. It's all there. And I just want to say that David was a very troubled man that battled with deep despair. Not only was he a fierce warrior, as I stated before, he was also a man upfront with his emotions. And he displayed those feelings and his troubles to one of the most in depth of poetry scriptures in the book of Psalms. In Psalms, David writes about his anguish, loneliness, fear of the enemy, as well as his guilt and weakness that he struggled with. So, King David was the second ruler of Israel. He ruled Israel for over 3,525 years. He had a lot of great triumphs and love from his people and for the Most High. But throughout his rule, he also had great tragedies as well. Um, the start of his tragedy, I guess, was I would say the peak of it to me was when he took his soldier and best friend's wife Bathsheba. Now David already had two wives, I think, at this point already, and he took another person's wife because he lusted after her, and that caused problems right then and there. His their first child that they had together died. A lot of stuff slowly started happening into his kingdom, into his household. He was a king beloved by all people, and he was battling all these wars and fighting all these battles and winning and having all these victories. But he was having war and strife within his own home. And um, to state that one of his sons was trying to take over his throne, um, and his son wound up dying. And then his other son, and I'm sorry if I can't use names. I know their name starts with the A, but their names are long and I can't pronounce them. And so, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you read with the King David story, he had more than one son because he had more than one wife and a couple of concubines. So he had a few children. And I should have looked up their names, but I didn't. So, but you can look it up in the Bible if you want to. But yeah, one of his sons was trying to overthrow him, and then he wound up dying. He was grieving over that, and then his other son was raped his half sister, and I mean, and it was just so much going on, so much strife. Also, one of his other wives that he married from, I think it was King Saul's daughter, she was all bitter and stuff. And I mean, he just had issues upon issues upon issues while ruling Israel for those many years. And as I stated here, there's a lot of damage between himself and his family, as well as the encounters uh, with the people that he had battle with. So I mean, King David was in a lot of strife and in a lot of despair, but he stayed in his faith, staying believing in God. And one thing I love about King David, he didn't try to put his own issues on somebody else. Most people, when they're going through pain and stuff like that, they don't look to the source of what caused that pain, which is most of the time themselves. And even I have a hard time admitting that, like where is all this coming from? Why is stuff happening to me? I don't want to look into myself because it's easy to display it on somebody else and blame somebody else for my problems. But you got to start with yourself first. I'm not saying that's always the case because sometimes people are in certain events that they can't prevent or they don't have authority to stop. And what I mean by that, if they're going through a child abuse or sexual abuse, and you're under a home that's supposed to protect you and be authority over you, and they abuse that authority. Now, no, that's not your issue or your problem, because if you're supposed to be loved and protected of that person that's supposed to care for you, and you wasn't. But I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about other situations where you have a little bit of control of what happens into your life. And there's a scripture I want to share that states that. So in Psalms 13, before I read it, it basically is about David is pleading with God, or more so complaining to God. He's running away from Saul. Saul wants to kill him, and he's alone by himself. He doesn't have the support of his men. It's just him and the Lord, and he is just in great anguish and despair at this point. And the reason why he is because he actually have much respect and love for Saul. Saul was like a father figure to him, as well as king. I mean, he married his daughter. He befriended his son Jonathan. They were like brothers. And it saddened him and distressed him deeply that Saul wanted to kill him. Now, Saul had his own mental complexities as well, and I'm not going to get into that too much because I don't want to drag on this video as much as I have already. But in that note, he was going through this issue where he didn't want to kill Saul, but Saul wanted to kill him, and he just at his wit's end, and he basically got tired of running. So this is what he states here. And this is Psalms 13, verses 1 through 6. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long will my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Enlighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest my enemy say, I have prevailed against him. Lest those who trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in your mercy. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountiful with me. Now I want to talk about that last part of that scripture. He first is like complaining, and then he's like, just give me the sleep of death. I just don't want to deal with this anymore. Um, Let this anguish pass over me. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to trust in you. I'm going to rejoice in your name and your salvation. And basically, he gets back into the focus of his faith because God has got him this far. Why would he fail him now? That's what I get from that scripture. You know, I mean, he gave you the spiritual power to help you slay Goliath, and God's been with you ever since then. So why would he fail you now? And I'm not saying that just leave it all up to God. That's not what I'm saying. I do propose praying. I pray a lot to God. I talk to God. I write in my prayer journal. I read scripture. But I know it takes more than just leaving it up to God. I mean, God is the foundation of all this. But if you're needing to seek you know, real therapy help, please do so. I've also sought therapy help as well as spiritual help and guidance with the Bible and talking to the people I'm close to at my home that's God fearing people. Um, so, I've done that as well. And personally, I just want to share my personal story. I dealt with depression off and on for years. I'm not going to get into too much detail about the stuff I went through. I'm just going to share a tad bit of it. Um, the first thing I want to say is that I grew up in a very happy home. My mother made sure that I really did, and so, but I also was a very sensitive child growing up, and I'm still a very sensitive person, so to speak. And I'm not gonna get into much detail because I don't want to say anything too much. But um, between the ages, I think between three and let's say four, I was four. I started sleepwalking at the age of four, and I had started from the age of four up to like my early 20s. So about 13, 14 years, I had been sleepwalking. And my mom was, when I first did it, my mom would always find me at the foot of her bed, standing over her, sleep. And it scared her half to death. It really did. And um, she didn't wake me up. She was told by doctors and stuff to just, it was not safe to wake me up. To just walk me back into my room and I'll eventually go back to sleep. This has happened repeatedly enough times to where my stepfather has found me in the kitchen, in the living room. This is when I got older. But it started at four, and the reason why I started sleepwalking at the age of four is because, um, let's just say, um, I had a father who uh, wasn't much of a father at the time to me, and he did certain things and said certain things and that he shouldn't have done in front of a child. That's all I'm going to say about that. And it triggered something inside of me to where at a very young age I started blaming myself for his actions. I thought my mere presence was the reason why he was causing all this strife in the home and doing all these things. And I thought I was the blame for that. And I'm like between the ages of 2 and 3 at the time. I haven't even started sleepwalking yet. And um, I really thought that it was something that was wrong with me. And I've carried this for a very long time, that it was something about me that triggered something in him to react the way he did. And I mean, at a very young age, I'm thinking this about myself. That's just real crazy, right? And so I started sleepwalking, and then my mom and I finally found out what it was, why I kept sleepwalking. Well, that was part of it, but another part was that I suppressed a lot of emotions. When I'm in deep depression, I will suppress stuff. I won't talk to anybody. I stay in hiding for months on end from my family and friends. And that's where the sleepwalking begins, because I am suppressing so much mentally and emotionally that I physically cannot deal with it. And it makes me have restless feet to where I am walking around sleep in the house. And so, and this is me just suppressing a lot of things going on in my life, the things that I have seen and things that were done to me. And I finally met with a counselor, I think at age 14, and that's when she told me I needed to keep a journal. So I started writing, and that was my release therapeutic mechanism to deal with my depression. When I started writing, it just opened up a lot of floodgates of emotions for me and just a whole new world. And it helped me really deal with things, that I never dealt with before, because I was physically writing those things on paper and actually reading what I wrote. And it helped me a lot. Um, and yes, I've seen other various counselors as I got older, because as you get older, life gets harder, and some people just have a hard time coping with life more so than others. I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. I love hard. I love really hard. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a hecotate empath that I stated earlier in my videos. So I'm very hypersensitive person. I can sense other people's emotions and feelings and energies around me as well as my own. And that sometimes can be uplifting, and that most times can be draining for me as well. But writing was my therapeutic escape, and also having very understanding family members and friends. I'm very grateful for my mother. She didn't just cast it off as me trying to be a bad child, being rebellious, even though I was being rebellious as I got older in my teen years. But then also I was going through depression too in my early teen years, and she caught on to that. And instead of just, trying to ignore it, we both went to counseling together numerous times. My best friend, has helped me through my depression. So I'm grateful for people that I had in my life that could go to. Most people don't have that. I still went to go seek a therapist though on my own because a lot of things I felt like my friends or my family couldn't really help me with because it was something I had to deal with alone. And plus, I didn't want to be a hindrance to anybody. You know, when you go through depression, you don't want to be, you know, you don't want to be the miserable person that brings down everybody else's sunshine, basically. That saying, misery love company. Well, I didn't want to just, um, you know, bring misery to other people because I was just such a drab. And that's why most of the time when I had a very coping mechanism as well as hiding my emotions because most of the time I'm the fun girl, I'm the funny girl. People come to kick it with and hang out and laugh and have fun. And so I will keep that energy up to pace for the people I love and adore because that's what they love most about me. So a lot of stuff I really just kept to myself. I didn't really want them to deal, but like I said before, eventually I wear my heart and my feelings on my sleeve, and when I'm really in that deep state, it starts to show a lot. And I just want to touch base on this because I know there's probably a lot of people that is dealing with depression, especially with this lockdown, because you have to face yourself. And I know how hard and difficult that can be. I just want to let anybody that's out there that's, living alone or who are living in a home that's not a loving home, that you are not alone. God is with you through all of this. If you're not a believer in God, but if you have an outlet to call someone or a friend that you can trust, please contact somebody. Um, you know, mental health is very important. We need to really start talking more about it and being more upfront and having more workshops and therapists out there that can really help people with mental issues. And I mean, really help them work through that problem, not just throw a pill at it and say everything's going to be okay. Because most of these doctors, they just want to prescribe you and dope pill with a whole bunch of drugs. And that can either make it worse because then you're still depressed, but you're a zombie that's just depressed. And you're just numb because you're on medication. I'm thankful that I didn't have to take medication and I wasn't prescribed anything like that. Now, some people have really severe mental issues, but they have to take medication with their schizophrenic and stuff like that. So if you're one of those people, I'm not saying to stop taking your medication. Like I said before, I'm not a therapist. I'm not medically certified to be giving you antidotes of things you should not do. All I can do is just relate to you on a personal level and on a spiritual level, which is what I'm doing. So, just please seek help if you can. Um, I know it's hard. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck in a home. You're by yourself. If you're not by yourself, you're with someone that's not a loving person, that's not supportive. And my heart grieves for those people. And, I will be saying a prayer for you guys as well. Now, I'm going to share with you my two poems that I wrote years ago when I was struggling with depression. And if I can open it up, please bear with me. I know this video is like over 30 minutes long. I'm so sorry, guys. I just do long videos. That's what I do. When I really start talking about a topic I'm passionate about, sometimes you might get a 30 to hour long video. Watch what you can of it. You can't watch all of it. I understand. Have a little sip of my bubbly if you don't mind. Yes. So let me find my poem that I wrote. And this poem, guys, is in Tears of a Clown. Two of my poems it's already in a self-published book that I published years ago. It's called Tears of a Clown, and it's on Amazon. And I will put the link down below if you're interested in purchasing my book. My first published book I did years ago. But that's where those poems are coming from. And let me see. I know I have it up here. I hope. And if not, yeah, I do. The first poem is called The Cutter. So here it goes. As I use the box cutter, ripping into the tender flesh inside my arm, I watch the crimson blood stain my sleeve. I'm assessing with the cold, hard, sharp metal splashing in my skin, a new edition of self-affliction. Corrupting my outer shell by carving decoration is the only release I can get from my destruction. The pain of suffering within my soul. I'm trying to slice through the agony that traps me in my screaming cries of living day to day with lies, knowing that I'm torturing myself every night with wounded secrets. An emotional disturbed woman, they'll say, a maniac depressant with loose screws. She's a loon. But I'm just looking for rescue from the frustration of my life. The blade has a way of making me smile when I cannot. It's a desperate sickness that rots my mind, indulging into my sawing crime. I've become a junkie for miserable display, seeking for love in a diabolical way. The knife has become my mate. Um, as you can see, self-explanatory poem. When I was going through depression, it was getting to the point where I was self-afflicting myself. I was cutting myself with a box cutter knife in the bathtub, mostly on my thighs and legs. I didn't do it too much on my arm because I wore a lot of short sleeves. And I did do on my arm, I did it in the under part of it where people couldn't see my scars. And I was doing it to myself for quite a while. This is during my teenage years, and I was just really just I was a runaway. I was going through stuff at school. I had a bad reputation. Was almost about to flunk out and not be able to go to 12th grade. It was just a lot of stuff going on that I couldn't deal with, and that was the inspiration of that poem of me, doing that to myself. So that's where that's from. And the other one I want to read as well. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see if I want to read it. Okay. This is called Surrender. And this is probably after my teens, maybe 19, 20, probably 21. Me coming more into myself, getting to know myself better. And I wrote this poem, and it's an uplifting poem in a way. And this is more of a coming out of depression moment for me. And it's called Surrender, and I'm going to read it to you. I hope to one day walk in the light of the Lord and be forever covered in the blood because the revelation of this is deep. I pray for keeps. Waiting to exhale doesn't mean waiting to breathe. It's the final release of uneasiness, of becoming who you are, surrounded with the blessed glow. My heart is filled with gold, cherished by far. My anguish load has been released. Pain and sorrow are now puddles at my feet. Unchained from the devious enchanter, beckoning to the glory of the high Messiah, a sensational magic of the holy divine, I finally have peace of mind. My soul is concealed of tranquil beauty. No longer am I plundered in my scarlet sins, for I have a crowned inheritance of sacred queens, for they carry speeches of truth and royal honor. Their value is embedded in my tongue, so my language would no longer be broken of wordless misconception. I've become worthy of gracious gain, the princess love child of every age. Okay. Guys, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and I hope it was uplifting and inspiring. Please like, comment, and subscribe and share. As I stated, I'm going to put the links below of the things I previously was talking about. Once again, please be safe in this quarantine time. Be blessed. And as always, goodbye, crazy lovelies.